We're in Orla, Perek Bet, Mishnah Gimel. Okay, Orla, second chapter, third Mishnah. Mishnah zo mosifa lelamed, our Mishnah continues to teach us, and we're going to learn it according to the Rambam, שאיסור שנתבטל בהיתר, that if you have any prohibition that we nullified it, מצטרף עמו כדי לבטל איסור אחר שנפל אחר כך לתוך תערובתם. So it nullifies something else that drops in later on. So for example, once it becomes nullified, I'm going to look, they're not going to join together. So for example, let's discuss. If Truma falls into an Isur, it becomes nullified.
Okay.
And then Orla falls into the Isur, and the Orla wouldn't become nullified unless you count the Truma. You do count the Truma to nullify the Orla. Okay, that's the next case. So let's see. But as we remember, there's two groups, actually three groups. There's the Truma groups and the Orla and Kilei Kerem group. So if one type of Truma fell and then another type of Truma fell, that's not going to nullify it. It needs to be Truma and Orla or Truma and Kilei Kerem. Two different ones, yeah.
Can be Truma and Truma.
That's right. Even though it's different Trumas. Even though it's two different Trumas, that's right. Ha'orla ma'ala et ha'kilaim. The Orla brings up the Kilaim. Ha'orla mitztarefet im ha'heter. The Orla combines with the permissible mixture. Levatel et Kilei Kerem be'echad u'matayim. To nullify Kilei Kerem in 1 in 200. Ooh. So we said Orla and Kilei Kerem, some combine them, but we say we learned it as the Tanakama, if you remember, learned it that we don't combine them.
Right, but now you say it is combined.
No, you don't combine it because
it's ma'aleh.
Yeah.
It's aref.
Yeah, but it didn't fall together.
Huh?
It did not fall together. One became nullified and then the other became nullified. If Orla and Kilei Kerem drop together, yeah, each one is individual. Okay. But even before each one was individual, it doesn't change it. It doesn't change it. It doesn't change. Ha'orla ma'ale et ha'kilaim. I'll tell you where it does change it. I'll tell you where it changes it. You have 100 parts. You have 200 apples, right? And you have one Orla that fell inside. So the one Orla in 200 is not enough. 199.
199.
Yeah, 1 in 199, it's not enough. So the whole thing becomes
so now
Orla.
throw Kilaim in. And
the Kilaim gets nullified now. And the Kilaim now, yeah, the question is, does the Kilaim now nullifies the Orla? So,
yeah, that's what it said. This nullified this and this nullified this.
Oh, but the question is after the fact or before the fact? With this one. Ha'orla ma'ala et ha'kilaim. Ha'orla mitztarefet im ha'heter. So the Orla, you can count it against the Kilei Kerem be'echad u'matayim, against Kilei Acheret in 1 in 200. Va'kilaim et ha'orla. And the Kilaim can elevate the Orla. Ve'kilei Kerem mitztarfim im ha'heter levatel et ha'orla. They combine with the permissible, with the mundane, to nullify the Orla. Ve'ha'orla et ha'orla. And also you can do the Orla with the Orla. Well, how is that possible? וכן מצטרפת האורלה עם ההיתר, שנפלה לתוכו ונתבטלה בו, כדי לבטל את התערובת שנפלה אחר כך לתוך תערובתם. Oh, it's an interesting fact. You've got an apple in a little bit. So you've got one apple fell in 200, right? So the one apple that fell in 200 is nullified.
Orla.
It's nullified.
Because it's 1 in 200.
Yeah.
But now it's 1 in 99. 199.
Wait. One apple fell in 200, it's an Orla. So that got nullified. Now, an apple and a little bit of orla fell into the same mixture. An apple and a little bit.
200.
Yeah. So if you didn't count the orla, it wouldn't be nullified. The second time. If you wouldn't count the orla that's in the mixture, it wouldn't be nullified. But you're going to count the orla that's already in the...
Because it's become to be good.
It already became to be good, so you can reuse it.
You reuse it for the camera.
That's right.
That's what he's saying.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So in other words, it looks very interesting. Once it became purified,
that's it.
That's it. It's purified. If something else falls inside,
no problem.
So if they fell in the same time,
no good.
No good. But because it already purified the first one, so the question is going to be now, what's the same time? If they're falling into, let's say it's from the top, and they're falling, it's like they get there. They get there one at a time. When they fall, they go in it. That's right. So
that's the same concept in basar and halal.
Yeah. Same concept in basar and halav. That's right. So the question is, what is in the same time? Is it 1 minute, 2 minutes, 1 second, millisecond? I don't know what's the same time, but maybe we'll get to it one day. Yeah. כיצד? שאה אורלה שנפלה ל-200. So we got a שאה of orla that fell into 200. של היתר ונתבטלה of היתר and it became nullified. ואחר כך נפלה לתוכם שאה ועוד אורלה. And then it fell into it as another שאה and a little bit more. שאה ועוד משהו, היינו 1 מ-200 בשאה. או שאה ועוד של כלי הכרם, או שאה and a little bit more of כלי הכרם. הכל מותר, and it's not, everything is permissible. זוהי שהאורלה מעלה את הכליים. This is when it says, the orla elevates the כליים. Now the orla elevates the kilayim is easy to understand. I'll tell you why, because it's not the same type. We discussed it, but the orla elevates the orla itself. That's a little bit hard for me to get my hand.
I was thinking about that because this is the choter. It's something else.
Yeah,
different things.
Yeah, so the seah elevates the kilayim, I can understand, but the orla elevates the orla. That's very hard to understand because it doesn't matter how you're going to pour it in. It falls one by one. It goes in one by one. What do you mean you mixed it? It mixes it one by one always. So what you're going to say, as long as I mixed it in slowly, according to this, it's like this. I can take milk, right? And I can pour it into my chont, meat chont. And I'm pouring it slowly. I'm making one drop, nullified. I'm pouring it more. And now the whole thing is nullified again. You don't do that. When it falls in, you measure what fell in, everything. So I understand that if I put in a little bit of milk and I wait, the question is, how long is the waiting for the next drop?
Here I have a different problem.
What is considered the same occurrence? It's like one occurrence.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Here I have a little bit of a different problem because let me ask you, if a kilayim went into orla, I can see the difference. This is a kilayim. I take it out. I can separate. Until now, we learned with the fruit that it's the same fruit. It fell down. You can't see it anymore. You
can't learn kilayim in the. You've got a vineyard, and you planted the cucumber in those vineyards, and the grapes from that vineyard got mixed up with the grapes of another kosher vineyard.
What do you mean?
You've got a vineyard in your house, 2 vineyards, one in the east side, one in the west side. In the east side, somebody came and put cucumbers inside. So this whole vineyard become kilei kerem now.
Right.
So you're not allowed to use these grapes.
Right.
Somebody harvests these grapes, you need to throw them away. Somebody harvests these grapes, those are good. So, and somebody by mistake took a little bit of those grapes and mixed them together with these grapes.
Right, but this is the same kind. Here you're talking orla. Orla, what is orla? Is a pri. is a fruit that you put in the dish.
Yeah.
What is killahim?
It's both grapes.
Is a piece of...
both are grapes.
למה? אבל כלאיים זה החוטר של... כמו למדנו, הענף.
Yeah, כלאיים...
זה הענף.
כלי הכרם can be anything. It's not the anaf, it's a fruit that grew on the anaf. So it's the same fruit.
What we learned yesterday about the anafim,
the grafting?
Almost the graft, but the one that you take and put in the ground that you are not supposed to put in the ground.
We were learning yesterday with
you cannot genetically modify fruits.
No, we were learning that the orla itself, the tree itself,
is orla.
Is not orla.
No, not the tree. אבל הענף זה orla.
And the anaf is also not orla as long as it doesn't have fruits on it.
Doesn't have the fruit on it.
So you can take an orla tree and replant it, and graft it, and it's not considered to be...
So this orla tree that I'm talking, it could be that it gets mixed with the fruit? Orla fruit or no? This is not the mix.
It's not the orla tree he's talking, he's discussing a fruit over here. So the grapes and the grapes get mixed. One grape is orla, one grape is kilei kerem. You cannot see which one is which.
I get confused with this thing that you put in the ground.
Yeah.
And I say, how? You see it's there? What you
No. This is after the fact. After it grew. After the grew.
Just to clarify, this is basically discussing plants that, like, you've taken a mix from one to another to create a different species kind of thing?
No. We're discussing... Yes, maybe a little bit. So you took one of these kinds to make different species. So the fruit from those plants are not allowed.
Right.
Yeah. So those fruit got mixed up with different fruits, but you can see on a grape where it came from. So, okay, that's what we're discussing. או שיער ועוד של כלי הכרם, הכל מותר, everything is permissible. זוהי שהאורלה מעלה את הכליים. This is what it means that the orla elevates the כליים. שהשיעה של אורלה שנפלה בתחילה לתוך ה-200 של היתר, that the שיעה of אורלה that fell into the 200 permissible, הואיל ונתבטלה, since, he gives it a hint, it needs to be some kind of separation. Since it became nullified, הרי הוא מצטרפת עכשיו עמהם לבטל את השיעה ועוד אחד עם 200. So now it's nullified, which means it's not prohibition anymore. It's permissible now. So it joins the other one to nullify 1 in 200 בשיעה של כלי הכרם. And the opposite, והכליים את האורלה, and the כליים nullifies the orla. Up to here I'm happy. But the orla, that's the one that makes me... והכליים את האורלה, וכן מכון זה, מעלים כלי הכרם את האורלה. And also כלי הכרם elevate the orla. שאם נפלה בתחילה שיעה של כלי הכרם לתוך 200 של היתר, that if you've got one measurement of כלי הכרם into 200 permissible measurements, so it's been nullified, ואחר כך נפלה שיעה ועוד אחד מ-200 בשיער, and then one שיעה and a little bit more fell, ה-200 של היתר, so you can use the כלי הכרם with the mundane to elevate the orla. מצטרפות לבטל את השיער ועוד של האורלה. Or maybe he's going to explain, וירלה את האורלה, and the orla, it's funny, it doesn't say כלי הכרם את כלי הכרם. Only orla and orla. If orla and orla, it's the same logic as כלי הכרם, כלי הכרם. Why does he have against כלי הכרם? והאורלה את האורלה, and the orla can also elevate the orla. Let's see. שיעה של אורלה שנפלה ל-200 ואחר כך, so we've got one שיעה of אורלה that got nullified in 200, good nullification, ואחר כך נפלה שיעה ועוד אורלה. And then fell another שיעה and a little bit more. מצטרפת השיעה של אורלה שנפלה תחילה, so the שיעה of אורלה that fell in the first place comes together עם ההיתר לבטל את השיעה ועוד שנפלה אחר כך. Just like we said, with the two different species, with כלי הכרם and אורלה, with the same thing. Why? And he explains, שהואיל והאיסור שנפל תחילה נתבטל, that since the prohibition that fell in the beginning became nullified, נעשה הכל כחולין תרים, became everything like חולין. So according to the Rambam, I will have a question. I have a pot of milk according to the Rambam, right? And I have small little chickens, and I'm going to throw them in one by one. According to the Rambam, after a while I will have 2 tons of meat and just a little bit of milk. So it looks like, according to the Rambam, after all this time, I don't care if 2 tons in milk and 1 liter of milk, it's still not nullified. Because everything is milchik according to the Rambam.
How many times you can do this foil stick?
Now, we do,
it twice only.
yeah, we do know though. No, you can do it. It looks like the logically forever.
You can do it.
No,
You
the
can eventually
logically.
get a cheeseburger, is what
Yeah,
you're saying.
Yeah.
לא שהתפלת.
That's right. That's right.
That's not you throw it.
You can't do it on purpose because we have a rule that we don't mevatel את האיסור. We cannot nullify the issue on purpose. But you didn't know. A person didn't know. And he threw them in one by one, or there was a machine and he dropped them in one by one. I don't care how it happened, right? In our case, I'll tell you how it happens. That's why it's very confusing. We have granaries, and you put the new load at the top because it's a big field, and you take from this direction, and it falls in grain by grain when it falls in. How am I going to look at it? Is it grain by grain falling in, not grain by grain falling in? I'm not quite sure.
It's not grain by grain. But I think it doesn't matter the falling. It's not the same as kosher.
It's always like,
It's not the same.
The logic is the same.
yeah, this is exactly what's used in Basar Halal.
Yeah, the logic is the same. I don't know exactly, but maybe I think that's why we have this big thing now. So we're going to read it because it's going to solve our problems, I think. כפי שכבר הקדמנו ביורנו משנתנו לפי הרמב"ם. So this is everything we learned up till now is according to the Rambam. אבל יש מקשים עליו, but there are those who have difficulty, ממה ששנינו, from the fact that we wrote, שאת תרומה שנפלה ל100, it says, a שאת תרומה that fell into 100, ולא הספיק, this is our problem, ולא הספיק להגביהה עד שנפלה אחרת. And there was not enough time to nullify it until the new one came in. So it looks like there's a measurement of time. What's the measurement of time over here? Yeah? הרי זו אסורה. This is prohibited. ורבי שמעון מתיר, but רבי שמעון permits. הרי שלתנא קמא, according to the תנא קמא, אף על פי שנתבטלה השאה הראשונה, even though the שאה הראשונה became nullified, כנפן שנפלה אחרת, since a new one fell in, איסורה של הראשונה חוזר וניעור. Am I going to reawaken the first one? That's the question. Or I am not going to reawaken the first one. So there's two opinions. The Rambam holds it doesn't get reawakened. And the other opinion, it says I'm going to reawaken the Isur. ואילו כאן שנינו שהעורלה מעלה את העורלה, and over here we said that the עורלה brings up the עורלה. ואין האיסור חוזר וניעור. And we don't reawaken it. So Rambam, where are you taking this from? That's the question on the Rambam. ברם, but לפי מה שפסק שם הרמב"ם, but it says, look what the Rambam writes. שאם קודם שנפלה השאה השנייה, ידעו כבר על השאה הראשונה שנפלה. So here comes the Rambam with the rule. It's your knowledge that does it.
Okay.
It's your knowledge that does it. So if you threw one in, and then it became nullified in your mind, and then another falls in, that's it, you're good. But if you didn't know that it got mixed, so you measure, once you know how much got mixed, even though it falls one by one, it falls in by one. It's falling in from the top, one by one. And then you're saying, oh, I'm not supposed to put this in here. And then you stop the machine. At that point, it's like it stops the machine at that point. Whatever it can. And then you measure it. So this is how the Rambam says it. So it means, according to the Rambam, the nullification depends on whom?
On yourself.
On the person. It's very interesting. It has nothing to do with the reality on the surface. Okay. It's not the reality that makes the nullification. What is it? It's your knowledge.
To say, okay, it's nullified now because I had one fell down. Oh, okay, now it's okay. And suddenly more fell.
That's right. That's exactly.
Oh, how many fell? Let me see. Let me measure. Oh, that's okay.
That's okay too. You don't measure them. That's right. It's your knowledge that kicks it in, according to the Rambam. Very interesting svara.
So at that point, it's going to be how much Yirat Shamayim you're going to pretty much have.
How much what?
In that point, it would be dependent on the person's Yirat Shamayim.
Yeah.
On the knowledge. Yeah, yeah.
שמודה תנא קמא, so here the תנא קמא agrees with the Rambam שאין האיסור חוזר ונאור. That once it's nullified in your mind and then it fails again, we're not going to reawaken it. וכל התערובת מותרת, and the whole mixture is permissible. The question that I have, yeah, which doesn't make sense to me, why does he only say orla in orla? Why not kilei kerem in kilei kerem? Why not truma in truma? There's something that it looks like he's just putting orla. הרי אפשר ליישב גם כאן. So according to this, it works even over here according to the Rambam's שיטה. שמדובר הוא בכל שנודע נפילת השאה הראשונה, קודם שנפלה השנייה. We're talking about when you had knowledge of the שאה falling in before the second one fell in. ולפיכך, לדברי הכל, אין האיסור חוזר ונאור. So therefore, according to everybody, we're not going to reawaken the prohibition. Okay? It's a very, I would love to learn this in the Gemara.
Yeah, it's fascinating.
It is a fascinating thought. I would assume that the nullification is on the reality. It has nothing to do with you, with the person. What do I care if you know about it or you don't know about it? I care if it's nullified or not nullified.
Because the whole thing is about your knowledge. Because if you have no knowledge, everything is okay.
Will he say this also in every kind of mixture? I'm not sure. Okay.
Yeah, not for Pesach, I don't think.
Not for what?
Pesach, I don't think.
For what?
Pesach, Passover.
Oh, Pesach doesn't get nullified.
Yeah.
There's no nullification in Pesach, so yeah. הרב מברטנורה מפרש גם משנתנו כשיטתו במשנה הקודמת. The Bartanura doesn't explain it like the Rambam, he explains it differently. שהדוגמה המובאה בה מוסבה על כל העניינים שהיא דנה בהם. It goes on all the matters that it discusses. והיסוד לפירושו הוא מה שאמרו בירושלמי, and this is according to his explanation, he relies on the ירושלמי, ש200 הנזכרות במשנה לאו דווקא, אלא הכוונה לתוך 199. Again, the question is it 1 in 200 or 1 in 200 or 1 in 199. והרי פירוש המשנה לפי הרב מברטנורה, and this is according to the רב מברטנורה. שאה עורלה שנפלה ל200, you have a שאה that fell in 200, כלומר לתוך 199 של היתר. It means to 1 in 199. Okay. שנעשה הכל 200 והרי נאסרו, it becomes all 200 and become nullified, ואחר כך נפלה שאה ועוד של כלי הכרם, and then a שאה in a little bit more of כלי הכרם, הרי הם הצטרפו עם 199 לבטל את העולה. So they nullified with the 199 together. Again, the Bartanura and the Rambam, the only difference is 1 in 199 or 1 in 200. Yeah, but they will have the same problem with the understanding that we have. וכן העורלה שנפלה בתחילה מצטרפת עם 199 לבטל את השאה. So again, are you going to nullify it in 199 or 200? כלומר, שמשנתנו כרבי יהושע, it looks like they hold like רבי יהושע, שערלה בטלה ב200 ועוד. That עורלה is nullified in 200 and a little bit more. שתרומה בטלה ב100 ועוד. And תרומה is nullified in 100 and a little bit more. אוקיי. אמנם נדחקו בפירוש הפסקה והעורלה את העורלה, oh, he has a problem, how does the Orla elevates the Orla? לפי שאי אפשר לאיסור של שם אחד שיהיה מבטל קצתו לקצתו. But he has the same problem that we do. How can, it's the same issue. How can you nullify with the same issue, the same issue? ולכן הוא מפרש שהכוונה בפסקה זו לערלה ונטע רביעי שהם שני שמות. So he says, the first Orla is regular Orla of the 3 years, and the second Orla is the 4th year. So since it's different Orlas, then one can nullify. But if it was the same Orla, I will not nullify it. He has the same problem that we do. Yeah? Because that's the question that we brought together. It's the same, how can, yes?
This is an interesting question. So let's say a forbidden fruit has a seed. That seed grows into a separate garden. Is that considered forbidden still, since it's a new seed? Or
so we discussed it yesterday, actually, your question. So if an orla, you take the fruit from an orla, then the whole tree is prohibited. The next tree, the whole thing is prohibited. So you're not allowed to do that.
So and any fruits from that also.
That's right. The whole tree, the entire tree becomes prohibited. You can't even use it for, yeah.
Idol worship.
Yes.
Even that for not, yeah. Shehem Shnei Shemot. Because it says over here, it's not the same Orla. One is Orla for the 3 years, and then the other Orla is that you have to eat in Yerushalayim in the 4th year.
By the way, Rabbi, you cannot enjoy even this tree.
Yeah.
You can't even sit underneath and enjoy the shade.
Yeah.
So, okay.
וקורא התנא לנט הרביעי אורלה. And the Tana calls נט הרביעי אורלה, לפי שהוא בא מן האורלה, because it comes from the אורלה. Okay. וכבר הוזכרנו בשולי המשנה הקודמת, we already mentioned in the previous Mishnah, שיש משיגים על הרב ברטנורה לגבי עיקר הדין. There are those who disagree with the ברטנורה. כן גם קשה לפי פירושו, it's also hard according to his explanation. למה נקטה המשנה בנפילה שנייה שאה ועוד? According to him, what does it mean? If you nullified in 199, you don't need more. It's exactly. Yeah, why does he need the word ve'od? The Rambam understands why the ve'od.
Okay.
But according to him, you don't need it.
Because he doesn't...
And that's it. So we're going to learn it like the Rambam. I think it's the same thing. So the Rambam says, by the way, the Rambam doesn't answer our question of Orla and Orla either. So I think the best way for us to learn the Rambam Orla to Orla is to use the Bartanura's explanation on Orla and Orla according to the Rambam. That when it says Orla nullifies the Orla, why does it nullify it? Because it's not the same Orla.
הנה, יש פה את ברטנורה. יש לך ברטנורה?
No, I don't have Bartanura.
הוא אומר אורלה, אורלה.
צריך לומר דאחד מהם נטע רביעי, we need to say that one of them is נטע רביעי, שהם שני שמות, and then there are two names.
So it's just,
Yeah.
this is actually two different names.
That's right, it says it's not, it's like Orla in Kilei HaKerem, it says. According to him, it's two different things, it's two different isurim, two different prohibitions. So we can use the Bartanura's explanation on Orla and Orla over here, and we have the Rambam's explanation that why does it get nullified, even between Orla and Kilei HaKerem, because once you have the knowledge, that kicks it in.
Make it, now it's good.
Now it's
you know
the whole-
what it is, it's good.
And after your knowledge, more fell in, so that's a, but if before you knew that something fell in, then you measure everything that fell in. You cannot add slowly.
But I don't have from the Rambam how many times I can
100.
do this.
Forever.
So
you,
in the end, you have...
That's right. As long, but it will be impossible because your knowledge will kick in. You will measure the measurement. Yeah, but according to the Rambam, I'll give you an example. With the meat and the milk, you throw a bit of meat into the thing, and you say, "Oh, I shouldn't have thrown it inside." And then somebody else comes and throws it inside, and then somebody else comes and throws it inside. Let's say, I'll give you when it can happen. There's something cooking in the house, right? A milk, and everybody knows that the wife, everybody thinks in the house that the wife is doing a chont. And it was a milk pot. And everybody throws in a piece of chicken one at a time. You know? So it can be now that after everybody realizes, but everybody needs to realize that after he threw it in, oh, I shouldn't do it. So but if nobody realized, that's right. So it can feel.
Then you have 10 pieces of chicken in the milk.
And it's still considered to be milchik. Chicken is not a good because chicken doesn't get. But let's say it was a what do you call it? Soup, chicken soup. You added chicken soup to the mix. The community got mixed. Then the whole thing is chicken soup, and you still say it's milchik. According to the Rambam. Yeah, it can never happen, but theoretically.
Okay.
I love the Rambam's opinion. It's very hard for me to understand what does it have to do with my knowledge. It's the reality. What do I care about my knowledge?
Your knowledge is reality.
That's why it's very hard to understand this. I think it has to do with the fact of how much power we have. For example, if the Rabbanim made a holiday, Pesach into a holiday, and they made a mistake the whole time. They thought whatever they thought, it's going to be a long winter, and it was a short winter last time, and then nobody remembered it was a short winter, so they made an Ibur of the year in the wrong time. I don't care. Pesach is going to fall when they decided.
Right.
And even though, in other words, they have
nothing to do to reality.
That's right. That's right. They can change reality. Or let's take another example. Somebody became 13, right? In a certain time of the year.
Yeah.
He became 13, which means he has a reality. He needs to fill in, or he has to do mitzvahs.
Yeah.
And then after the second he became 13, the rabbis came and made an Ibur year. So now he has to wait 1 more month to become 13. So we tell him, even though he transgressed, he didn't transgress yet. We cannot give him the death penalty because he wasn't 13. Even though in the reality, you understand, it looks like the power of I think that's what the Rambam is trying to say over here. That your reality, the power of your nullification does something.
Rabban ben Gamliel and Rabbi Eliezer had an argument about when Yom Kippur was going to be, and it's basically when the Sanhedrin said it's going to be, and he basically made him go and do Yom Kippur when they said.
I think maybe it's the same